Live now on 10 Tampa Bay, we're tracking conditions across the Bay Area and Debbie's aftermath.
Hurricane Debby made landfall near Steinhatchee today at 7 a.m. this morning as a Category 1 hurricane.
As the storm moves north, flooding forces local families from their homes.
We've rescued as well as flood evacuated about 150 people.
From Sarasota to Citrus County, we have team coverage in your neighborhood.
It was a little scary. You could hear the trees, everything cracking, but you couldn't see anything.
All material things can be replaced. People's safety is what I'm working on and helping doing today.
10 Tampa Bay is live right now.
And we begin with a weather impact alert as we track Debbie and get a closer look at the impacts across the Bay Area.
And that includes major road closures, bridge closures, and evacuations because of flooding. This is 10 Tampa Bay at 6. I'm Frank Wiley.
And I'm Dave Wagner. Good to have you here. Debbie is now back to a tropical storm after making landfall in Florida's Big Bend as a Category 1 hurricane just before 7 this morning. As Debbie churns to the north, right now parts of the Bay Area are seeing dangerous flooding. Already, we have seen dozens of rescues in Sarasota and Manatee counties.
The storm also causing problems on the major bridges out there right now. The Skyway Bridge is still closed because of high winds. That's a live look. Also on the Howard Franklin, some of the northbound lanes are back open this evening after the storm damaged part of the shoulder lanes. And we have crews checking on conditions from Sarasota to Citrus County. You see it right there. We will take you there live in just a moment. But first, I want to get with meteorologist Natalie Ferrari.
And Natalie, Debbie is now headed to the north of us, but carrying just a ton of rain.
And you guys made a really, really good point. Sure, it's weakening to that tropical storm status, but the impacts left behind here locally and the impacts it's causing through North Florida, Georgia, then up into the Carolinas, that's something we're going to be talking about not only through the entire week, but likely months ahead, because it is forecast to be potentially historic rainfall when all is said and done from this storm, not only here locally, but mostly up to our north. So let's head on over to the weather wall and get you through the latest on what is still tropical storm Debby, continuing to pulse to the north tonight, and it's really making more of that northeasterly track. Let me move back here just one more. There it is, that swath of rain, just still holding quite a bit of that moisture along with it, slowing down that forward momentum. When it made landfall, it was ranging between 13, 14 miles per hour moving forward. Look how it's dropped now, that forward momentum, to 6 miles per hour. So a slower tropical system over land is not a good situation. That allows more rainfall to just pool in the same areas over and over. For the Tampa Bay region, we have been removed from all tropical storm warnings. So that is good news. That means tropical storm force winds, those tropical storm force conditions are no longer occurring here locally. But notice how that will continue as it treks its way towards the northeast through the middle to the end of this week, kind of meandering along the coastline there towards the Carolinas. But that is a lot of potential for a lot of rain to fall throughout the next several days up to our neighbors to the north. You'll see how these showers just continue to make their way from the southwest, pulling up to the northeast, and they're off and on. So it's not going to be nonstop, and it will have some still gusty winds embedded within it. So coming up, I'll talk you through this hour by hour, what we can expect as we go through this week, and where things will gradually improve as we go through the next couple of days.
Praise God for these wonderful rescue guys.
As we take a look at conditions around the area, first responders in Sarasota and Manatee County spent hours today rescuing families from flooded homes. And 10 Tampa Bay's Aduri Chumba is live at Lakewood Ranch for us.
Yeah, in the middle of all of it in Aduri, some of these neighbors are hard to reach, especially right now.
That's correct. And as you saw on that truck, many of those neighbors will be unable to spend the night at their home. And the reason is, look at this right behind me. This is the River Club subdivision in the Lakewood Ranch area. And throughout the day, we've seen neighbors coming out, whether it was on that truck or on foot, carrying trash bags with some of their belongings that they were able to bring out with them. Again, we haven't gotten a count of how many homes have been impacted, but not far away from here, over in the Center Lake area near Whitfield and Prospect Avenue, we know at least 14 homes were impacted. They had to evacuate around 80 people, including children and pets. The first stop some of those evacuees made was at the Cross Point Church, where we spoke to the First Lady of the church, and she told us, what they saw when these neighbors came by. Here's what she had to say also. We spoke to some of the neighbors here at Clubhouse, and here's what they had to say.
They evacuated the whole neighborhood over there. The water flooded. When I was trying to get on the bike there, it was like a waist deep. I couldn't bike there anymore, so the houses were flooded, and I guess nobody's there.
And she was saying she came out this morning. They were sleeping, walked into her living room, and water was about up to her knees, thigh area. And then she just said, we got to get what we can get and get out of here. And as they got to the street, it kind of went down a little bit. She said it was up to her neck.
And the problem for some of these neighbors is that they live right near the Braden River. We've seen several of the roads shut down. At least 3 flatbeds have gone by here with cars pulling them away. Those cars stuck trying to drive through the flooded roads. Again, law enforcement warning you not to attempt that. Just turn around, don't drown. For now, live in Manatee County, Aduria Chumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
Sound advice, and right now in Crystal River, part of US 19 is closed because of flooding.
Yeah, it's in the same area that took a double hit last year with Hurricane Debby, followed by a tornado just weeks later. And 10 Tampa Bay's Aaron Parsegian is there live right now.
Aaron, what is it looking like out there right about now?
Well, Dave and Frank, this is a time of night where people around here were paying close attention to. High tide was just about a half hour ago, and up until that point, we were seeing water really starting to inundate many of the roads around here. Now, you can see this rain really starting to come down out of nowhere, but we are near Kings Bay in between US 19. Many of these roads still closed because there's inches and inches, sometimes a foot of water here. But I can say over the last half hour or so, we've visually seen this water starting to go down after that high tide half an hour ago. You can see some of these businesses we're preparing with sandbags out front of it. We talked to the business owner there. They say they have probably a couple of inches of rain in there. We also talked to other business owners who were getting ready to open a business this week and were on high alert, even making some more preparations in between the high tides. Listen to this.
Came back to check and noticed that there's more flooding than there was last night, and we're probably gonna have to get some of this product and stuff out of here. So that's what we're working on now, because we got 4 to 6 foot probably surges coming in. So it's gonna look a little rough than what it is right now, even though the storm is for the most part past this general area.
And they're happy to see things on Citrus Ave at least starting to go down. They're also taking solace, in fact, of the community here. Together, they've gone through a lot over the past year. They've got over it together, and they plan on doing the same thing with a powerful recovery. We're live in Crystal River tonight. Aaron Parsegian, 10 Tampa Bay.
Aaron, thank you. And tonight our team coverage continues in Hernando County. It remains under a local state of emergency with flooding and power outages.
10 Tampa Bay's Hannah Deneen has been in Hernando County all day long surveying damage there. And Hannah, people are feeling the impact of the flooding right now.
We are near the Hernando County boat ramp, where there are some roads that are still flooded right now, but this is actually a significant improvement than just a few hours ago when that 2:30 high tide rolled in. We have seen the waters recede significantly since then. Now, Hernando County's coastal areas obviously hard hit with that flooding, but not the only part of the county that saw impacts from Debby. Flooded roads in Spring Hill led this car to hydroplane off the road, according to the sheriff's office. And county officials say crews worked through the night, responding to downed trees, which closed roads and knocked out power. Overnight, a fire tore through this Spring Hill strip mall, destroying at least 2 businesses. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
It looks like the building mostly is a total loss. So we're not sure exactly the real cause of the building yet, but it looks to be definitely storm related, whether a lightning or rain into an electrical component or something in there.
I've been speaking with Hernando County Sheriff Al Nienhuis, who says the next several hours will be all about surveying damage and assessing the needs of his county. Live in Hernando Beach, Hannah Deneen, 10 Tampa Bay.
A heartbreaking update out of Gulfport. Within the last hour, search crews say they found a body during the search for a boater who went missing during the storm. They say Brian Clough's boat partially sank near Veterans Park. Another boater searched through it, found his dog, but did not find him. First responders say they believe the body is that of Brian. They are still investigating what led up to this. Now, we did have crews in Gulfport overnight. They saw multiple sunken boats and boats washed ashore there. 10 Tampa Bay's Jenny Dean shows us what it's like out there.
Here here in Gulfport, we are seeing some minor street flooding, but it's something they're used to, of course, and the homes and the businesses along this historic district should be okay. The boats are a different story. Check it out. We're seeing about a dozen boats that have been damaged in some way or another, pushed up onto shore. And just look at all those boats out in Boca Ciega Bay. Those are all tied up, but others have become loose. And when the tide's coming in, you can't tell. But earlier this morning, those boats were washed up onto the sand. There's also all kinds of debris coming up onto these volleyball courts, these beach volleyball courts, with other smaller boats that have been washed up. So it is pretty significant. We talked to Josh Brent, who grew up in this area. He says the minor flooding is something they're used to. It's the boat damage that's pretty significant.
This does this every time, though. This isn't, the water really wasn't much. It's all these boats, how they got pushed in. Because there's never this many boats. Since I've been, born and raised here, there hasn't been that many boats out in this Gulf here.
Now, the city of Gulfport does have a fund that they can use to help remove derelict boats or boats that are damaged beyond repair. The owner just has to hand over the title to the city. Of course, they're going to be assessing that damage over the next few days. In Gulfport, Jenny D, 10 Tampa Bay.
Remarkable scene there, and a tragic update to a crash on 75 this morning. The driver of a tractor trailer died after spinning out and crashing into the Tampa Bypass Canal. That's near Fowler Avenue. That was around 2:30 this morning. The cab separated, fell into the canal. Troopers say the driver was a 64-year-old man from Mississippi.
Coming up next, the storm is causing new concerns about issues with wastewater in Pinellas County. We got a hold of the reports just filed, what they're revealing in just 3 minutes. Well, this evening, 10 Tampa Bay is uncovering the impact all this rain could have on our waterways.
Verify anchor John Sidorowicz is in Clearwater looking into issues at several wastewater treatment plants.
Yeah, so I've got several reports here that have been filed with the state just within the last 24 hours detailing how these relentless rains from Debby are causing some big issues right now with local water treatment plants like this one here. Clearwater officials alerted the state that this east facility near the Courtney Campbell had some problems overnight. They said that all of the rain caused several processing tanks to overflow into the stormwater system, which then drains into Old Tampa Bay. At Clearwater's Marshall Street facility, they also reported issues overnight, saying that they were down to just one of 3 pumps. And they said that that caused sewage from a nearby manhole to overflow into these storm drains here, which lead into Stevenson Creek and then eventually to Clearwater Harbor. And we've seen similar issues that have been caused by Debby are being reported in Pinellas Park and also Safety Harbor. There, they are having issues getting generators online after losing power. At this point, we can tell you that the Florida Department of Environmental Protection is now investigating these. We will, of course, continue to monitor for any other reports that might be filed here from other areas across Tampa Bay in these next few days. Reporting in Clearwater, I'm Josh Sidorowicz, 10 Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's been a lot of water over the last 48 hours. I've actually compiled some of the radar estimated totals for you. The forecast was calling for about 6 to 12 inches possible through parts of the Bay Area. That truly did verify. Isolated could have been anywhere from 14 to 18. We even saw that, especially down through Sarasota, even into parts of eastern Manatee and southeastern Polk as well. Of course, storm surge, the biggest threat up to our northern counties. That has been the concern, which is gradually going to improve as we move through the next 12 to 24 hours. So there's good news there, but look at that healthy drink of water out and about. Because of the fact our ground is so saturated and we still have these off and on bands being pulled behind Debby, that is going to allow this flood watch to remain in place until 8 p.m. But that is kind of one of the last advisories that's still holding on tightly. Everything else, the tropical storm warnings and the storm surge warnings along our coast have been allowed to expire. There is Debby pulling to the northeast. It is slowing down. That is going to dump a lot of rain across across much of the southeastern United States. I'm talking about not only North Florida, but Georgia up through the Carolinas through the rest of this week. Here is the backside of Debby, where we have those off and on scattered showers. See how they're thinning out? Each and every one of those bands getting tinier and tinier. However, they still have a lot of heavy rain embedded with it, as well as some gusty winds. So even through tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up and notice, it still feels like we've had these tropical downpours moving through, and it's because the storm is slowing down. And as that happens, that allows still more moisture to be pulled in behind it. But the reason this is going to be a storm we're talking about for days ahead, easily into next weekend, is because as it falls apart, it is still going to be capable of dumping massive amounts of rainfall even up towards parts of the Northeast and along the eastern seaboard moving forward. Now, you can see some of those peak high wind reports. They have been substantial, feeling like, again, a tropical storm along the coast, and they've been gusts that have been peaking at times, not necessarily sustained, consistent winds. The sustained winds now, at least, they're improving as well, easily in the teens and in the 20s, but still at times we are getting gusts of 25 to 35 miles per hour. So over the next couple of hours, don't be surprised to get still some of those off and on very thin bands to move on shore. Because of the fact Debbie's a slow mover now, even through tomorrow morning, we could even get some good downpours through your Tuesday morning commute that you'll have to drive through, as well as those gusty winds. But when it comes to tonight, it'll stay mostly cloudy. It is going to be so warm and humid, and you'll notice those off and on rounds of rain will be possible at times. Quick look at your 7-day. We are going to keep those rain chances at least going through the next couple of days. My system's locking up on me, so we'll be sure to get you that in a few minutes.
All right, Natalie, a live look at Sarasota now, where dozens were rescued from floodwaters today.
In Tampa Bay's Chris Hurst was there as it all happened.
Here Monday afternoon, the flooding is only continuing to get worse throughout Sarasota County and right here in the middle of Sarasota City. We are here on Bay Vista Street and Conrad Avenue, where Philippi Creek, which is about 200 yards behind me, overflowed its banks right around dawn because Sarasota County got more rain in the last 24 hours than we've ever seen before. 12 inches plus fell within a 24-hour period. It was just too much for stormwater and wastewater and for the creek to handle. And so now we have dozens of homes here in this area that are now submerged in water, and we have some of Sarasota's finest and also folks from outside of the area that are taking these fan boats, going out into people's homes and rescuing them. That will continue this afternoon and into this evening, because even though the rain is starting to dissipate, we are still seeing people dealing with flooding coming into their homes. But even despite that, we met one woman, Jessica McIntyre, who said her home is flooded, but she's out here trying to help her neighbors.
All of that can be replaced. People's safety is more important. All material things can be replaced. People's safety is what I'm working on and helping doing today.
Both Sarasota County and Sarasota City are urging you not to leave your home unless absolutely necessary. That's not just because of massive road flooding like this, but so many subdivisions continue to be impassable at their entrances and exits, and lots of streets remain flooded with standing water as this water has nowhere to go right now. In Sarasota County, Chris Hurst, 10 Tampa Bay.
Well, rain chances, they're not zero quite yet. We are going to get these off and on very thin bands, gusty winds and rain through tonight and even into your morning commute. So keep that in mind. I promised you the 7-day. You'll see how those rain chances stay in the forecast. So does that breeze. We have that onshore flow that'll hang out with us through the rest of this week, even into Friday. But other than that, even into the weekend, we're getting back into that typical summertime pattern. The heat, the humidity, I mean, you feel it when you step outside. It is very warm.
You do. Yeah, it's been a lot over the past 48 hours or so, and I know a lot of folks are, still in the path of this, so we're thinking about them this evening. Thank you for joining us. The CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell is next.